Good evening. This is Gina Tadella. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and tonight we are going to showcase this cute, fun stamp set, Poppin'By, which has I can't even talk tonight, coordinating dies that goes with it. Sorry, I got that upside down. Anyways, it's got a pair of shoes, a film strip, sunglasses, popcorns, and popping pieces that can go on top of, and of course, this guy. So we're going to create that. This is in your AO catalog, and hopefully I didn't knock any of my pieces because I went ahead and pre-die cut everything. And I was having trouble. I got it all set up this afternoon, didn't have any problems, because I had to delete the app, re-upload it, and oh my gosh, and then all of a sudden I had trouble. Hi, Linda. Had to scroll up so I could see who had already got on. So anyway, so let's just do some fun stamping. We're going to be using Memento Tuxedo Black Pad, the Darling Duckling, and the Real Red. Fun colors. Of course, we're using a blending brush, the small one. So, I believe this is in the annual catalog. If not, it's in the online store, and it's available. It's not unorderable. I try to check that before I demonstrate. So, on the first one, I want to make sure I don't lose none of my pieces, so let me move it over there. You're going to have a basic white. This is a thick cardstock, and this is 5.5 by 8.5. And we'll go ahead and fold this in half. If you have a bone folder, use that. But if not, just use your fingers, press in the center, and go down and up or up and down. Either way. And I usually flip it over and do the same thing. I trimmed my nails last night, so they're nice and short. They were so long. Okay, then I have a piece of Real Red. And this is 4 inches by 5 1/4, and that's just going to go right on top of the card base. Then I have a piece of the regular white, 3 3/4 by 5, and then this one is a 1 inch by 4 inches of the basic black, and this is of the Darling Duckling, 3/4 of an inch by 3 3/4. That's for the sentiment. Then I die cut some of these, which I'm going to have to put them on the back of that red so I can see them. And I punched out enough, so just in case I faux pas, because the machine is so awkward and big. And of course I cut out a pair of sunglasses. So I'm going to take my glasses off and get busy stamping. And I'm going to turn this red piece over so that way I can see my white pieces. And some of these I may not be using all on this one card. I know I want to use 5 of them, and then one other one can go on another card. Okay. So we want to turn on the right side. And, honey, can you go get my blocks that are on the table? My clear blocks, Roman, please? I forgot them. So here are the little stamps. I forgot my blocks. There's 2 containers. They're both together. Just bring the whole container. With both of the little white containers got blocks in them. Thank you. So, anyways. And so this is going to be the sentiment we're going to use on all of them. Popping in to say hello. There's one that says no one is better than you, that you can put on the inside. And we may use that word pop. So let me go ahead and pop those out of there. Yeah, that's the smooth side and that back side. Isn't that cute? Thank you, sweetheart. Appreciate it. Okay. He brought me all the blocks I needed. That's too small. I was busy cutting, and I thought I was going to have time to come in here, and then the machine was doing its own little thing. It's like, oh, great. Okay. All right. Usually mostly the D blocks because these are a little bit bigger, and we don't have the A and B blocks anymore, even though I'm using the A there, but the D works pretty much for everything, and so does the C. But I think I have something on one of the C blocks I do have, so. Okay. Got those all mounted. Move that container out of my work way. Alright, so when you're not sure which one's which, I think this is that one. And what did I do with all the other little popcorns? Did I knock them down? I know I picked them all up. Oh well, unless they stuck to the paper. Nope. I know I had several of them. Oh well. Well, one shot's all I got, right? Unless they stuck on the other thing that I picked up. We are going to do buttered. We're not going to do that in black. We're going to do that in the Darling Duckling. Be nice and buttery popcorn. Because you can't see white unless you're doing it on black. Perfect. And then I'm not sure. That's the only downfall when you have... Yeah, see? Can't see. Can't see it. That's all right. I got the white paper. That's why I brought that in here. I don't know what I did with all those other white popcorns. Okay, for some reason it's not picking up on that one edge. Maybe I'm not pressing. I wasn't pressing. So I'm going to stamp 2 of those. And move that over. See? That is a crappy stamping. So I would suggest you stamp it, IB. Stamp it, then die cut it out or hand cut it out. Because you don't have to have the dies with a stamp set. I bought it because I knew I'd be using it. There's this one. So I'm going to try to stamp this one on this one. And what you can do is you can turn it over and lay it on top, because I know somebody would have told me that. And then just press on top of it. And that works every time. See? There's that one. And what did I do with the other one? It's that there. Okay. And I use that one. I use that one. Oh, there it is. You always want to prime them when you're first using them. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing on this one. I'm going to lay it right on the stamp and press on it. There we go. But then I want to stamp it here so it has the little things in the background. Oh. Of course I got a line on there. When can you not do that? Never. So move that pad out of the way. And then we're going to go ahead We'll bring these in. That one goes with that one. That one will stand those up on dimensionals. Now we want to stamp the sentiment. And I need to get a block for that one. And so what I usually do is I turn this block at an angle so I can get it across. And then we're going to go ahead and ink it up in the Memento black. Perfect. A little bit more on the hello. I can see that I didn't have enough on there. Hi, Betty. That's my cousin. She lives in North Carolina. I'm just going to stamp it right there. I'm not too happy with that, so let me go ahead and smooth out the edges and then do it again on the other side. I forgot how far that stamp on the rubber was cut. See how much is rubber's on that side? Doesn't look like the label. So I'm going to bring it up just a touch. Even press it. That's much better. Okay, so now we're ready to place these all together. So we want to mount our white onto the red first. This one. Use my handy dandy glue. You just want to kind of stay on the inside about 1/4 of an inch. And there you go. Now we're going to put our black strip on. You don't have to worry about being exact. But I want to be right in between. And it's the same width as the red, real red. Then we'll go ahead and put it on. Which one was a... This was a good side. This was the one that was too high up. I had to look at it twice. We're just going to center it. It's going to leave a little bit of a black frame all the way around. Okay. Now, since I stamped that in the yellow, we don't want yellow. We want probably the red glasses, so they'll stand out. Alright, so now we're going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals on these two that are die cut. It only needs 2 on this one, probably 3 on the other one. Peel those off. This card will cheer up anybody, and very easy to do. We're going to put 3 on this one because it's a little bit bigger, and this is the one that's going to have the sunglasses. And this one you have to be careful when you use the glue, very thin. So we're just going to make little small dots. And this is the good side, and you can see the negative side. So we're going to turn that over. And this is when those tweezers come in handy. I don't have them handy here. You see, you don't have to put much glue. Very thin. So I'm actually spreading it from where I put it first, right there on the nose part. There we go. There's that. And now we can mount it to our base. So here's the one that was the messed up one. So if you wanted to use it, it doesn't fit right now, but it's my faux pas. But I knew I cut extras, but I don't know what I did with those other ones. Oh, they stuck to the case. That's what they did. Okay. So I want to show you what you can do. Anyways, this is that one. We're going to stamp, I'm going to ink this one up again, and we're going to stamp that one in a lighter Darling Duckling. So I'm going to stamp it off. Then I'm going to bring it on. Just press on it. If it was a photopolymer stamps, we could see through it, but you can't. So it's very nice and soft. And it can go right there. So we'll put 2 dimensionals on the back of that one. Okay. There's the other 2. I want to save those for the other one and move those out of the way so I don't lose them again. Doggone it. Did I pick up the one I need? I did. These 2. Alrighty. So when I was talking to my sons yesterday, telling him about OBS and how I was having trouble with it, he goes, "Don't worry, Mom, you ain't the only one. So you're doing right. You just delete it, reopen it back, and then reload it. Because every time it has an update, it does that." So there's that. So now we're going to mount it to our card base, which is this one. So let me open the glue back up here. It's a nice cheery card. So hopefully everybody is enjoying their summer. I can't believe we're already in the month of August. There we go. So there is the first one. Very easy to do and very cheery. And if you really wanted to, you could add eyes to it. I don't know where my Sharpies are, but we find a fine point. That's purple. I don't want purple. But we could make where his eyes really stand out. Should have done it before I put the sunglasses on. But you can make them where it's more animated. I think I'll do this one here. I only want to do 3 of them. There we go. That fine tip is a better one. But there is that. So let's move on to card number 2. Number 2, we're going to have the guy that's in his own frame. And I have it cut out twice. And you'll understand why. And he's got little shoes. And I cut out 2 of these on purpose. You'll understand why in just a second. So let me give you the measurements for this one. This is a 5.5 by 8.5. This is our card base. This is a thick white. Yeah. Thank you, Bee. You are correct. But I'm going to do the eyes before I put the sunglasses on next time. It would have been easier. Okay. And then this is basic black. And this is 4 by 5 1/4. And then regular basic white, 3 3/4 by 5. And this is 3 3/4 by 4. And then this is 2.5 inch square of the Darling Duckling and 2 1/4 inch square of the basic white. So first off, we need to stamp these. Let me move these little shoes. Now you understand why I had all this stuff moved out of the way so I don't lose pieces. Okay. Now I need that stamp. And I want to do the yellow first. And I want to stamp this off because I don't want it real dark. And we're going to do the same thing we did earlier. We're going to lay it right on top. And I don't care about the bottom because we're going to put the red part on the bottom. Okay, wonderful. Now, we're going to twist this off. Then we're going to bring in real red. Oops, I gotta do it this way. And this is where it pays to have a piece of scrap paper. I don't want red on my hands, which I already got it on the nail, which I see. Okay. So there's that. Okay. All right. Now, we don't want this. So we're going to go ahead and take our paper snips and we're going to cut in and around. There we go. And then this gets glued right on top of that one. That's how you can do it. When you have a stamp that has two different colors, that's how you can do that. So, now we can go ahead and glue these two together. So I'm going to put the glue on the one that's the smaller one. So that way I know I don't have any glue hanging over the top. Now we can do the eyes. Like B says, the eyes really make it. So we're going to go ahead and do his eyes. This one makes it easier. You can just go ahead and follow the line there. Now we're going to go ahead and put the glue on the back of the glasses. And you can do this on your silicone mat if you don't want to get glue on your hands. And just let it sit there, and then you can pick it up. Because the glue does not stick to the silicone mat. Then we're just going to lay that on there. And there's that. And now we can place it on here. This is where I'm going to put the word pop. Okay. Where's my lid to my glue? Because it kept sticking to my sleeve. All right. Well, before we do that, we want to add some yellow to this. I don't want much, but I just want to go around so it's just not stark on the edges, even though we're putting it on top of the square. There we go. Very easy. Now we want to go ahead and lay that on there. I want to glue it because I don't want to mess with it and smear the black writing. Yeah, that yellow just softens up that white so it doesn't be so stark white. Okay. Okay, I don't want that. That's much better. Pop. Perfect. Now, we got to put his shoes on. Almost got too much there. Pass it to the other side. There's one shoe. Alright, now don't stick to my finger. Stick to the popcorn guy. Alright. I got glue on my fingers, that's why. And he's just dancing around with the pop. And you can mount him with dimensionals, but it's not necessary. He is already two-dimensional. But I just thought this was just such a fun set. Fun to do with kids, fun for a popcorn party. Summer item. Isn't that cute? Okay, so now let's get it placed on the card. Alrighty. We're going to mount these together. We'll put the big one on first, the big black one. This is 4 by 5 1/4 if you missed the measurements earlier. And I'm going to tilt that. I don't want it straight. This one is 3 3/4 by 5. So I'm just going to give myself a nice edge all the way around. And in this one here, we need to stamp the sentiment. So we're going to use the black again. Pop it in to say hello. I'm going to make this like a flag. You got to remember that it's higher on one side. I don't want to have to trim that. I keep forgetting. See, it's higher up, so you bring it down more. Well, that's crooked as heck, so I'll have to use that one. That's the benefit of having two sides of the paper, that's for sure. So, you can trim it, but you know what? Ain't nobody going to be very particular about that. So, where's my paper snips? I'll go in here and make a flag. There we go. I'll go ahead and mount that. I know, right? I saw the possibilities before I even ordered it. I haven't even looked at samples online with the stamp set. I just went in there and started cutting paper. And you can use dimensionals, but like I said, it really doesn't need it. There is that one. Isn't he cute? Alright, let's go to our third one. That one's going to be similar, except it's going to be a horizontal. Even though all the measurements are cut the same. And this is going to have a black basket. I gotta make sure I clean the stamp off real good. Oops, got the card wrong. This is a 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. Since I'm doing a horizontal, I could have cut it at 4 1/4 by 11, but I didn't. It's going to open this way. Okay. So this is a 4 by 5 1/4 of the Darling Duckling paper. We can go ahead and mount this. And this is going to have those two little extra popcorn pieces with the guy. And this one I am going to center it. So it'll show a white frame all the way around. But before we mount this, For this, we want to do our stamping. Okay. So, where's my popcorn guy? This one is definitely got red all over it. We don't want that, because then it gets all over your yellow pad. But I'm going to use my brush. I'm going to use my brush to add the ink, because the only part I need yellow on is this part right here. And I didn't bring my cleanup pad in here, so we'll do that. Don't want to lose those. And we're going to lay this right up on top and use this scrap sheet to press on. Okay. Then we're going to take that off. It's got a little bit of a color, but this part here is going to be covered up. So, now we're going to add the black. And when you die cutting and you're using scrap paper, don't have to worry about this, because we're going to cut that off anyways. Remember how I cut it off early on the other one? So that's what we're going to do. There we go. Now, this Sharpie is going to make those eyes really stand out. I want to make them a little bit bigger. There we go. I'm not worried about whether that's solid or not. Now we're going to cut that part off like I did earlier. We're just going to go up and around. Don't have to be real intensify here, so not really delicate cutting, so keep that in mind. We're just layering it right up on top of the other one. Okay. So we're going to add the glue to this one. Remember how I did that earlier? I should have done red shoes. I forgot he was going to be black. Alright. So, anyways. Need some Winkostella. I'm going to do my Wink. I don't have the Winkostella in here, but I do have a shimmer pen. That's gold. We don't want gold. Oh, I don't know. That would work, wouldn't it? And that's white. Huh. That's okay. Now we want to stamp the cinnamon and the other popcorns. So, let's do the cinnamon first, since it's going to be in the black. Alright, move that out of my way. I'm going to go up higher. And then we're making this a banner on both sides. Okay. That is not straight. That is terrible. Oh my gosh, I had that crooked as anything. Let me bring this. Well, I'm just going to have to cut it. I got a line on the other side. Lo and behold. Okay. So I'm just going to free cut it. So what we're going to do is here, we're not going to make it, we're just going to do an angle and an angle. I'll move these out of the way so it's not in our workspace. Now we can stamp the other little popcorns. Okay, there's that done, this done, and now we're stamping. Then we bring in the Darling Duckling back. And remember, we inked it up, laid it up on top. There's that one. I don't like how that came out. I like that better. That is not good. Hopefully I can get this one better. I'll do this one light. Bring this in. And then we want to stamp it in the background because it's got the little hash marks. Yeah, gold shoes would work too. But I didn't die cut that, so that's alright. Alright, so there we go. Now let me move this out of the way. And there's the sunglasses. Okay, so now we're ready to move that there. Bring this in and put that on. So this one here, I'm going to use the blending brush. So I'm going to go in, add the Darling Duckling. It shows you several different ways of doing this. Now, we're going to go ahead and mount him on first before we try the shoes. Because that way the shoes won't be sticking to my hand, but I should have done the red shoes. Gold would have been white if I didn't have to use yellow. I think the gold would clash. But that's a good idea, Linda. I'm going to bring it up just a little bit because his shoes hang off his feet. And then we'll use dimensionals to mount the other items. Let me use my take your pick tool. I'm going to use a foam size so I can pick these shoes up. It's got this little foam. It makes it easier to pick them up. There's that one. I turn that one over. Okay, let me get it there. There's that. And then we gotta do the sunglasses. Just put it on the little corners. There we go. There's that. Okay. Now, put the fluid back on it. Now we need the dimensional Oh, you're going to say, what did I do with them? I know I just had them. 1, 2, 3. I got a half one in my hand, half one on this hand. And I can cut me a half one here. And peel these off. There's that. And there's that. But I gotta add his eyes. But I'm trying to find a little narrower fine point, and I don't have one. They're probably all in the dang office. Let's see if I can do this. Okay. I didn't want to be as big. That's much better. And there is that one. So here's number 3. Here's number 2. And here is number 1. Move all this other stuff out of my way and I'll lay these out here for you. So there's that one. 2 and 3. Let me make sure I can get them all in the angle. There we go. So I hope you've enjoyed that. And just had a little bit of fun today. Just had to do that. I'm glad you came on to join me. And those of you that are watching my replay later, thank you. And be sure to share with your friends. And if you have any questions, reach out to your personal demonstrator. Love you. Bye-bye. See you next Monday at 7 p.m. Yeah, card number 2 is my favorite too. This one right here. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Bea. Thank you all for joining in. Bye-bye.